Guys, hi. In this video I am going to show you a perfect example of a failed painting. Why? Well, first of all, it's a failed composition. um it uh it started out okay, but as I was working through it, it just wasn't doing what I needed it to do. And I tried several times to remake things and add things and take away things, and it just didn't happen. I had a tree at my old house a long time ago that had a niche in it that was healed over from a fallen branch that had fallen. And I thought, what a perfect spot. I'll plant my violas in there, and that would be a pretty cool painting with the contrast of the bark and everything. So I drew it out. Of course, I shot reference photos. I drew it out. I had it beautifully drawn. Started to lay in the colors. It was a very high contrast painting with a lot of white areas from where the sun was really strongly um, hitting the flowers and the petals and the leaves. I mean, some of it, when I looked at it, was very um, it was just the leaf was almost white without color because the sun was directly hitting it. So in this process, I kept struggling with it. I had laid in my color washes where, you know, majority of my color washes, and then I started laying in the darks because there were a lot of darks and a lot of white brights. So this was a very high contrast painting to start off with, and basically it still would have been had I decided to move forward with it. But it just wasn't working. I tried some different techniques to get really cool bark effects because the bark on the tree was just amazing. Um, so I added some rice paper to these areas here and here. I added rice papers down here. I added them over here because you know me, it has to be asymmetrical, so I can't just add it one over here and one here. I have to have odd numbers. That's kind of a design thing. You need odd numbers. You don't want it totally symmetrical because then it just becomes too balanced and too boring. So in doing that, it still wasn't right. So then I added some wax crayon to get some wooden grain textures so that I could paint over, and where I added the wax crayon, that would create like a grain texture in the wood. I did it down here. Um, it still wasn't right. And this lower half here, it was all dark, but it was all dark in the photograph. But when you looked at it, with this being all dark, it just threw this whole thing off balance. It was just too heavy sided over here with too much dark, and it threw the rest of it off. So then, in my desperation, I thought, well, maybe I'll add gouache and then add another viola down here using gouache and see how that works. Well, when I started to apply the gouache, you can kind of see it. It doesn't look at anything like the areas painted with watercolor. It was just too different, too set apart. So I thought, okay, that doesn't work either. So today, the other day, I thought, well, maybe if I crop it, I can like create get it more centered and have the golden ratio, a better composition. So I thought, okay, I'm gonna crop it. So then today, sitting here, started to crop one line at a time, one line at a time. So I cut this off, right? I made lines and cut that and took that away, right? Then I cut this side off, right? Cut that side off. And then I cut that side off. So now I have a cropped image. And to be honest with you, I still don't feel as though that is a decent composition, because you got a main focus right here on this side. You got a main focus up here, and then you have another one down here. Now this area here, that's still, I would have to do something with this and lift this out. The only thing that might make it work is if I created a trail of purple throughout and you were still able to go up through focus and then focus again, focus. But there's the main flowers are just up here. So part of me just wants to say, okay, it's done. I can't do anything with it. And just scrap the whole thing. The other part of me, the do or die, never give up part of me, says, well, maybe there's hope for it. Maybe you can do something with it. I don't know. I would have to do a lot of lifting in here to get something out, or down in here. See if I can add, but this might just be exactly when you have to say, okay, there's no salvaging this at all. No matter how badly I wanted to finish it, it just is just probably a lost cause. And it breaks my heart, because it's hard for me when I spend so much time on something to then pitch it. It really is. It's super hard. I mean, I could crop it again this way. Like, okay, let's see. I crop it again here. And if, okay, let's go over here. Let's try this. I go over there and do that, right? That. Let's see what happens if you do that or that. It's still not the greatest composition, because the grid, the golden ratio is right here, and your main focus is right there. So, guys, this is why it's so important that you really map out your drawing and your composition before you invest all this time and energy in something. Because the composition and the drawing is what is going to make, of course, the values too. But if you don't have a good composition and you don't have a good drawing, there's no way it's going to end up being a decent painting at all. Not at all. I mean, the only way I could even save it would be like to really crop the heck out of it and just make it a small little painting, you know, like totally get rid of the majority of it and just make something like that. You know, this is really hard, but you know what? That's why when you start a painting, you have to realize that when you start something, not everything is going to be a masterpiece. Not at all. You cannot put that much pressure on yourself. And you also have to realize, first of all, it is all about the process. It is about the creation. It's about the creativity. But it's also about making sure that you have a good composition and a good drawing before you even start. And in this case, it was not a successful composition at all. So I should have been better about figuring that out before I put all the time and energy into this. Like I said, I did learn some new techniques that I would love to try again. You know, I would love to add more rice paper for texture like this to another watercolor painting in the future. But guys, I'm going to have to scrap this one. As much as it breaks my heart, this is going in the trash bin. Yep, it's going in the trash. So anyway, That's how you know when you have a failed painting, when you can't even crop it to make it decent. Okay, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you have a great day.